Story 1, She Watched Me Sleep. I thought I was living alone. But every night, someone watched me sleep from inside the wall. My name is Jake. I moved into a small ground-floor apartment in Brooklyn after my divorce. It was cheap, quiet, and frankly, exactly what I needed. At first, everything was normal. But after a couple of weeks, I started hearing things. It began with scratching. Not loud, not violent, just a soft, dragging sound behind the bedroom wall. At first, I assumed mice. But it wasn't random. It happened only at night, and always around 3 a.m. Then came the breathing. I'd lie in bed, eyes wide open, and hear it, soft, steady breathing, just inches from where my head rested. But no one was there. Just the wall. I told my landlord. He said there was nothing behind that wall but brick and ventilation shafts. No crawl space. No neighbors. Nothing. Still, the sounds got worse. One night, I woke up in a cold sweat, certain I wasn't alone. The air felt heavy. Like someone was standing near me, watching. I turned on the light. Nothing. But then I saw it. In the dust on the wooden floor by my closet. A single, clear footprint. Bare. Female. Small. I live alone. I never have guests. And I never walk around barefoot. I bought an old GoPro and set it up on my nightstand, pointed straight at the wall. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. At exactly 2:57 a.m., something appeared. From a thin crack between the wall panels, a face slowly emerged. A woman's face, pale, expressionless, with huge, unblinking eyes. She stared directly at my sleeping body for nearly 10 minutes. Then, just as slowly, she slipped back into the darkness. I called the police. They opened the wall and found something I still have nightmares about. There was a narrow utility passage, no longer in use, leading to an old maintenance basement. Inside that basement were a thin mattress, food wrappers, a plastic water bottle, and a shoebox. Inside the box were dozens of photos of me, taken through the wall crack. Some showed me reading. Some, changing clothes. And in one, I was looking straight into the lens. They never found her. I moved out a few days later. But before I left, I recorded one final night, just to prove to myself it was over. That morning, I checked the footage. At 2:17 a.m., something slid through the wall crack. It was a small piece of paper. On it, written in shaky handwriting. I miss watching you sleep. End of story 1, She Watched Me Sleep. Story 2, The Stranger in Apartment 204. He always smiled when I passed by. Until one night, he knocked on my door and whispered my name. I live in a small apartment building in Pittsburgh. 12 units total, most tenants keep to themselves. But apartment 204. I always felt uneasy about it. The guy who lived there, mid-30s, quiet, pale, and always wearing the same gray hoodie, never said a word. Just smiled. Not friendly. Not creepy. Just empty. Every time I'd walk past his door, I felt eyes on me. Not casual glances, like someone studying me. Memorizing. One evening, I came home from work and saw a sticky note on my door. It read, "You're not as invisible as you think." I assumed it was a joke. Maybe from a neighbor, maybe some kid. But then, it happened again. Next time, the note said, "Green hoodie, black jeans, messy bun. Cute." That was exactly what I had worn that day. I started locking my door religiously. Didn't matter. One night, around 2 a.m., I heard soft knocking. Not loud. Just a faint tap tap tap. Then a voice. Right outside my door. A low whisper. I know you're awake. I froze. Then, more whispering. You read my notes. I like that. You smiled at me. You shouldn't have smiled. I called building security. They checked the hallway. No one was there. The next morning, I saw a new note stuck to my door, inside my locked apartment. It read, 204 is just a number. I'm closer than you think. I moved out 3 days later. Before I left, I saw apartment 204's door open. I couldn't help myself. I looked inside. The unit was empty. Dusty. Abandoned. No furniture. No clothes. A single mattress on the floor. And on the wall, drawn in pen, a dozen tiny stick figures. All of them had my hair. End of story 2, The Stranger in Apartment 204. Story 3, She knew my schedule better than I did. I never told anyone my routine. But she always showed up 5 minutes before I got there. It started with the coffee shop. Every morning at 7:25 a.m., I'd walk in, order a small black coffee, and sit by the window. Same seat, every day. One weekend, I noticed her. Same woman, same time, always already seated, across from my spot. She never looked at me. Never smiled. But she was always there. Then I saw her at the laundromat. 2 hours after I got home from work, she'd be folding sheets. Not her own, just standing there, touching other people's clothes, waiting. She didn't talk to anyone. I asked the staff. They said she never used a machine. Just stood. Watched. Then left. By the 3rd week, she appeared at my gym. I'd arrive, and 5 minutes later, she'd walk in. No bag, no gear. Just watched me from across the treadmills. No expression. No blink. One day, I left early. When I got home, she was already standing at my front door. I called the police. They couldn't do much. No crime has been committed, they said. So I changed my schedule. Gym at night. Coffee shop skipped. Groceries delivered. But it didn't matter. Last week, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a notebook. Every page listed my daily movements. Every time, location, and exact minute, logged in perfect detail for the last 47 days. The last page had just one sentence, written in red. You're hardest to find when you stay home. End of story 3. She knew my schedule better than I did. You've just heard 3 true stories of stalkers who never knocked twice, because they already knew the door was unlocked. If you're still listening, maybe lock yours tonight.